So yeah, it's one thing to know how to create your tech pack, to do your illustrations and all that. And then there's another thing to know how to obviously use that to start your career or to make money from it, basically. So,
No, okay. You want to
okay.
record down?
So there are three paths basically that you can take as a designer. This is general in like any field of design. So there's one thing, either an entrepreneur, meaning that you're using the skill for your own business, or you're a freelancer, meaning that you basically work for a lot of people. So people come to meet you and they say, oh, they want to create tech packs for their collection, and then you create the tech pack. And then once you're done with that, that's the end of your contract with them. And then there's an agency. So you can actually start an agency where a lot of fashion brands can come to your agency to get these particular documents, you render it as a service. Right. So when it comes to being a freelancer, there obviously you have to position yourself as a freelancer. So being a freelancer just means that I'm one person, and I have the skill of digital illustrations and creating of tech packs. And there's maybe one or two people or three people, five people that I meet when I go for events and they have fashion brands. And then I tell them, oh, I know how to do this. Do you need this service? They say yes. And then you basically handle everything from beginning to end. So your advertising, your pricing, everything, and then you render the service and obviously you get paid for it. So that's basically everything to being a freelancer. So when you are positioning yourself as a freelancer, you want to obviously have case studies to like show people, because you're not going to just use your mouth to tell them, oh, I do this, I did that. You have to actually show them. The one thing that I usually do is to create big projects. So I basically just, imagine that I have a client. I can even use my siblings or my friends and tell them that, oh, please just pretend to be my client and I'll do this. I'll just like run through these projects and just give me feedback all through the process and all of that. And then you basically have that documented and put that together in a portfolio. So your portfolio could be on your website or on social media or in a PDF format that you can just send to people. Or you can have like a catalog or something that you just send to people to show them what you can do, right? And then obviously some of your practice work can also serve as something that you can show people. It doesn't have to be like a full-on project, right? So another thing is networking and advertising. So networking in the sense that this is a service, you're not actually selling tangible products. So you want to go out there to actually find people and talk to them. So if you're a digital illustrator and you want to be a freelancer, you have to have a lot of fashion entrepreneurs in your circle. So you know that, okay, when I post my work, I know that fashion entrepreneurs are seeing my work. When I go out for events, I know that I'm going to meet fashion entrepreneurs, right? So that's like basically everything about networking. Advertising as well, you can decide to run ads if you want. You can decide to do content. So like there's some people that actually have like their Instagram page. They're like, I don't really call them influencers, but they post a lot of content of their process of when they are designing and creating all these illustrations and tech packs. So that's basically what it is to be a freelancer. You are your own person, and you obviously price your work by yourself. You put up the amount that you want, and you're good to go. Now, starting an agency is a little bit different, right? So now you have this illustration skill, and you don't want to be the one to handle projects by yourself. You want to have a team that you work with. Reason being that maybe you want to target a client that maybe has a larger organization, a larger fashion brand than just maybe someone that is just starting, right? And then the work is like really large and complex. Maybe they're doing a collection of 30 garments or 40 garments, like the way the big fashion brands do today, right? In this case, you actually want to have an agency if those are the people you're targeting. Obviously, if you're targeting this group of people, you're going to be charging way higher than someone that is just, you're working by yourself as a freelancer. But then the thing is that if you want to start an agency, you actually have to start from being a freelancer first. So the reason is because when you are starting as an agency, you're going to have to set up a team. And usually when you're setting up a team, people don't just join your team because you tell them to. They need to actually see that, oh, this person that I'm coming to work with actually knows what they are doing, right? And then you also have to have the skill and understanding of it as well. So meaning that you also have to have something to show for it. So being a freelancer first will also give you experience with dealing with clients and obviously knowing how to price your work better and basically coming up with a standard process for rendering your services, right? So when you set up your team, setting up your team, you have to basically just get people that can also do what you do. And you have to get people that believe in your vision, because again, this is a service rendering business. You're not selling products. So the amount of clients that you get is not going to be as constant as when you're selling shoes or you're selling bags and stuff like that. But then the amount that you get for one client is a lot, right? So another thing is, for a freelancer, you can just work with your PDF portfolios. But for an agency, you want to work with case studies. Now, the difference between a case study and a portfolio is that portfolio just has like your works. It's just showing your works. But case study actually show the process on every project. So you're not just showing what you did, you're actually also showing the process. And it has a lot of storytelling. So you want to actually take your potential clients on the same journey that your actual clients went through when they are going through the case study page. So the case studies are usually best on your website. On your website is usually best on your website, but it's not bad to have a brochure or a catalog, just in case you don't have a website yet, or you don't want to set up a website yet. So the same thing for networking and advertising as well. You obviously have to have a lot of fashion entrepreneurs in your circle. And the last thing here is proposals. Now, when you're targeting larger clients or clients that would be paying larger amounts of money in millions, then you want to actually do a proper proposal before proposal to like get clients. You're not just going to tell them, oh, that's come and patronize me or something like that. No, you actually have to reach out to them and propose, tell them what you're going to do, how it's going to benefit them, and all of that. So for proposals, I'm going to basically make available a sample proposal document. I'll say templates, right, that you can use to create your own proposals if you're going this route as to starting an agency. Okay, now this is the most interesting part, which I feel like a lot of you would be more interested in, and which is basically having your own fashion brand. Now, the difference between a tailor by the roadside or someone that just sews clothes, right, and a fashion brand is really the business and the branding and marketing side of things. Now, if you are going to be doing mass production, you are definitely going to have to do your digital illustrations, and you're definitely going to create your tech packs. Now, once you start to do that, there's no how you will not have to structure your business, because by the time you get to the factory, they'll ask you, or you might have to show them, send them a non-disclosure agreement. You might have to obviously give branded tech packs or give, business information. So your business phone number, your business email. So it's more professional than just being a tailor that someone just walks into your shop and then they give you what they want to sew and all that. So the first thing that I would say is, first of all, changing your mindset. So you want to obviously shift from that sense of, oh, I'm just myself creating clothes that I like and selling clothes. You want to actually think of yourself as an entrepreneur who actually has a vision and a goal that you're trying to achieve. And this is the reason why I'm going to be using this particular skill to kind of put my business in a better position in front of people that would invest in my business and all that. So that's the whole idea of having the business mindset. Now, when you start to think more like an entrepreneur, then you would start to think about planning and structuring your business, which is very, very important. I don't know if you notice there. Let me use this fashion brand, for example, Ofre. Ofre is a female fashion brand, and their theme is Afrocentric, right? Now, if they didn't sit down to plan their business properly, they would not know what theme they actually want and how they actually go about, projecting their designs and their ideas in this Afrocentric theme, right? So there's that side of business plan, and then there's also the business aspect of things. Because now we're talking about creating of tech parks, working with factories. These are your designs that have to be, how do I put it? They have to be guarded. You don't just put your designs out there and like expect that, oh, it's going to be safe. So when it comes to structuring your business, you have your legal systems where, that, okay, for every person that's going to see my designs, there's going to be a non-disclosure attached to it or something like that. So that's like a rundown of like business planning and like structuring your business, right? So the next thing obviously is mass production of haute couture. So now the difference between these two is mass production, you're creating in mass. So you're sending your designs to a factory and they're going to create maybe 100 to 200 or 300 pieces. While haute couture is a bit different and usually more expensive because you're actually building the garment from scratch by hand. So it's a lot more creative than, mass production. So you have to obviously choose which route you're going. Are you going the mass production route or are you going the haute couture route? So now this actually helps you to know how you're going to approach using your illustration skills. Okay, so the next one is having a theme and storytelling. So having a theme for your brand is very important. Like I mentioned, like Ofure is an Afrocentric brand and all their collections are always in that line, right? There's another brand called Canfe and they do a lot of elegance female wear and they also do corporate female wear. So like they have a theme that they follow. They're not just everywhere, right? And then this actually helps you to make sure that your brand is telling a story. And this is how people actually connect to your brand so that they can actually, feel like, yeah, they have to buy your clothes. And this is why brands like Canfe can charge 80,000 naira for a dress and nobody will complain. They will still buy it, right? Because they know that they are coming, when they come here, it's not just about the quality. They're actually emotionally connected to the brand because they can understand the story that is being conveyed through their garments, right? So that is basically storytelling and basically having a theme. And usually you cannot communicate these things to the people that will make your clothes if you do not actually pen down your ideas. That's doing your drawings on software and having your tech pack that actually tells them what to create, right? Then the next part is branding and marketing. I think maybe I should move to the next slide because I have a slide for that. Okay, so this is Ofure brand, right? And this is Canfe, and this is a male casual brand, right? And we can basically see how distinctive they are. You will definitely not mix up these two together because you know that they're not, it's not the same thing. This is very Afrocentric, right? And then you can also see that it also kind of flows in their photography. You notice that these ones, they have like this clean background and, so that the colors on the clothes, on the garments actually pop. Whereas this one, you have scenery and then you have like plain garments and all that. So this is just basically what I mean when I say having a specific theme for your brand, right? Actually helps with your storytelling and connecting with your audience and your manufacturers so that they can actually produce and enjoy your garments. Okay, so now branding is very important. And I'm going to actually just focus on this particular image here. So now this is something that is also important in your tech pack. So now this particular thing here is called a tag, and it looks like as if it's something that is for them H&M, them at ASOS, Pretty Little Things, because they're the ones that usually have tags on their clothes. But then as an illustrator, you obviously have to consider this. So there's actually a space in your tech pack where you let the manufacturers know where to place your tags. Now, your tags actually carry your brand information, so your logo, the name of the garment, and also like how to take care of the garment and all. So this is like part of branding as well, because then when the customer gets your clothes, this is kind of what they interact with at the first instant. Do you understand? So, yeah. So let me run through other benefits before we do some Q&A. I feel like we may have like questions to ask. So you can just drop your questions in the chat box. So once I'm done with this slide, I would run through them. Okay, so some other benefits of having the skill of a fashion illustrator, aside from obviously making money from it as a freelancer or an agency or having your own brand, right, is it serves as a legal backing when your manufacturers cause trouble. So obviously everybody knows what I ordered versus what I got. Like it's something that happens to, it has happened to almost everybody, let's be honest. And you definitely don't want this to happen to you when you are producing your 100 garments, because by the time they cut the pattern and sew the clothes, they're making the same mistake all 300 pieces. And usually things like this obviously has to do with money, because you spend a lot of money and you spend money on the service, spend money on fabric. So what usually happens is that the manufacturer, or let me say the tailor, will actually say, but this is what you wanted, right? Sometimes they always make that statement. But then when you have a tech pack to show and you send a tech pack to your manufacturer, they're working with your tech pack, everything that you actually wanted is written in your tech pack, right? So there isn't anybody saying that, oh, but this is what you wanted, that kind of thing, because it's clearly there in your tech pack. So like if there's any issue of like legal, maybe you decide that, oh, you want to sue them, because obviously they have to like cover the cost or anything like that, you have your tech pack to actually show as proof that, oh yeah, this is actually what I wanted. Whereas if you didn't have a tech pack, nobody would know. Everybody just looking at you, you know. So that's basically the first one. Second one is good documentation makes your work easier. Now, this is very, very important because I think everybody here should know about pattern drafting, right? So pattern drafting is usually done once and then you basically replicate it on fabrics and then you're able to make the same exact clothes multiple times. Now, imagine you don't have a design to work with, right? The pattern drafts are just basically done from the head. It's prone to a lot of mistakes. There will be lots of back and forth with your pattern drafter, even if it's you that is doing it. There will be a lot of, you'll be confused because you don't actually have something drawn out that would like help you to know what to do exactly. And then also, good documentation also helps with, you know, working in the future. So if maybe I created a collection 3 years ago and I have my tech pack stored on Google Drive and I want to maybe modify that collection, I don't have to start from scratch, you know, to start conceptualizing or anything like that. I just have to go back to my tech pack, take the drawings there, or go back to my Illustrator file, take the drawings and then, you know, develop on it and then come up with like I'll say a mutated collection, right? So that's basically what good documentation helps with. And it also gives you a better standing in front of investors. Now, when investors, what actually makes investors to feel that, oh yes, I can invest in you is because they see that you are a serious person, right? They see that your business is properly documented, properly structured. They know that, okay, even if something happens to the money, at least you'll be able to tell me where the money went, because they can see that if you're able to document and, you know, pen down your designs, you're able to, you know, arrange them, number them properly, then you should also be able to like give them proper information when needed. So it gives you a better standing in front of investors. And then it also helps you to structure your team and run things without raising a finger. So if I have like all my drafts, my pattern drafts, my tech packs, my designs, and I decided, okay, today I don't want to be the manager of my business anymore. I want to hand over to my younger sister or my friend to continue running it while I start on that business. All you just have to do is just hand over the files. That's literally all you have to do. Everything is already done once and it's done. It's there for life, right? So, and then it also makes working with your team easier. If you're running a fashion brand, as a fashion designer, I'm not expecting you to continue to design, so do the designs for your packaging, do everything by yourself. No. When you have a team, right, they obviously need information to work with. So having your tech packs documented and your drawings, everything properly documented, you just hand over documents to them and they know what to do, right? So that's basically what another benefit. Then also, the last benefit here is that it allows you to charge more for what you do. With proper brand and marketing, you can achieve this. So now, like, if I spent my time designing a collection of 20 pieces on Illustrator, I created my tech pack, I sent it to the manufacturer, we went back and forth, we were able to come up with 500 pieces of each of them. I'm not going to sell that clothes for 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. It's not possible because I mean, look at all the stress I went through, right? So I can justify and say that, okay, yes, this clothes is actually worth 40,000 naira or 50,000 or 60 or 100, right? Depending on how complex the garment is, right? I can confidently say, yes, that's what I would charge. And then obviously, if you're going to be on that level, you're going to also show that level to your customers. So they know that, okay, yes, they're actually coming to a brand that is not, it's not a tailor shop they're coming to an actual fashion brand, right? So that's where the whole branding and marketing comes to play. So that's like overview of everything, right? Okay, so before I go into this, I would like to have conversations with everybody. So if anybody has questions, you can like ask questions in the comments, in the chat rather, and I'll take the questions one by one. Okay, we have a question. So this person said, what is the difference between sample and first prototype? Okay, so when you go to a factory, right, to when you go to a factory to, you know, you go there, you say you want to obviously create your your garment, you want to maybe produce 100 pieces. Now, the first thing that they do is actually understand your tech pack, right? Once they understand your tech pack, then they go into pattern drafting. They create the pattern, and then from there they make the prototype. So now the prototype is usually done in a fabric that is not the fabric that you send to them, because obviously when you're going to sew your clothes, you give them the fabric that they would use. So the first prototype is done with another fabric entirely. Usually it's a white fabric that they use, or they can use any fabric that they have in their store for prototypes. So that's like the first, that's what a prototype is. So prototype is basically I'll say the first, let me not say first, I'll say the attempt of creating what the garment should look like. But then there's room for corrections, there's room for modifications at that stage, right? So there's room for modifications at that stage. So your sample is the first creation of your design with the actual fabric. Now, remember I said it's mass production, so you are creating maybe 100 pieces. It's not the 100 pieces. The 100 pieces that you're creating is the actual garment that you're going to sell. Your sample is just like, okay, we've now finalized on the prototype. The prototype is good, it's perfect. Let's now create the prototype with the actual fabric, and let's see how it's going to look on the actual fabric, because your prototype fabric might have a different texture to the actual fabric. So you want to also test that. So that's the difference between the two. So your prototype comes first, and then after that, they now create the sample in your actual fabric. But then it's possible to have more than one prototype. That's why in the tech pack, you have first prototype. So when you create the prototype, when they create the first one, they send it to you. You look at it, you take measurements to make sure that it's correct. If you want to make changes to your design at that point, you can make changes to the design at that point. And then once you make changes and send it back to them, they'll create another prototype, which is called the second prototype. So you can do as for probably 3-5 prototypes before they actually do your sample. So I hope I was able to answer that. What softwares do we need for illustration? So there are different softwares that exist for fashion illustrations, right? But the best that I would recommend is Adobe Illustrator because of the flexibility. Now, Adobe Illustrator is a software that is actually created for any design field, right? It's an illustration software. So even logo designers, graphic designers, brand designers, some architects use that, right? So it has a lot of features and it gives you room to experiment, right? It gives you room to also make things easier in terms of creating stitches, zips, and things like that, because they have, the software has features that are designed for that, right? So that's what I would recommend, Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so while I'm waiting for more questions, I would like to talk about Ganeta Art School and also this illustration thing, right? Okay, so Ganeta Art School is a school of creativity. Basically, what we do at Ganeta Art School is to help Africans to develop on their creative skill. Basically, as a designer, an artist, whatever creative skills that you have. And luckily for us, we started with fashion, which is what we are dealing with now. And we have a platform that you all can be on. So this is basically the fashion illustration course training that we just finished right here. But this is screenshots from we have a mobile space. I don't really call it a mobile app, but it's a mobile space. So we have our own space on the mobile app, basically, where you can actually join courses, have access to free classes, and also be in a group where fashion designers are. So like for everyone that is here, we actually got notifications of a group, which some of us actually checked. I've seen that from my end. So there are other fashion designers there as well. We also plan to have like challenges. So if you have if you're a designer and you already have skills in like fashion illustration, you can obviously join the challenges, like develop and also start building your portfolio. And then, yeah, so basically this is our community and we have a lot of things that are coming in, very soon. So yeah, so that's like everything about Ganeta Art School. I think if anyone is interested in the fashion illustration course, you can reach out to our email. Let me just put our email, Ganeta Art School. Yeah, so you can reach out to us via our email and we would get back to you. Okay, so there is another question here. Please, can you re-explain the difference between portfolio and case studies? That part was interrupted by someone talking. Okay, so I think, let me see if I can open up some examples. Okay, so we have 4 minutes, 3 minutes actually. So yeah, so this is an example of a case study, right? This is a branding agency and this is a case study. So now this is an introduction to this case study, and then we can see details on the project. So maybe for example, you got a client, maybe the client's name was, let's use Ofre, for example, and Ofre wanted to do fashion illustrations and tech packs for their 2023 collection that had 20 garments in it. And this was the goal they were trying to achieve. This is what they wanted their designs to look like, all of that, blah, blah, blah. So you write everything out here. And then you basically put in images of your process, your mood boards. Let me see if these guys have mood boards. Hey, I'm not sure they have mood board. But basically, like you kind of just lay out the process. So first thing is your mood board. You start with your, you get ideas, concepts, and all that. So you put here your mood board. You write here, okay, you can put some challenges that you faced, how you tackled it. You can put images of each garment in their flat sketch, their colored sketch, right? And then obviously you wouldn't put images of the tech pack because tech packs are confidential, right? But you can put images of some of the illustrations. So basically it's what a case study should look like. So it's like a page that goes like from beginning to end is a process. So you start from how you started the project to how it ended. That's basically what a case study is. I think we're having, okay, yes, they're loading now. So basically this is how case studies look like. So images, some text information, images, like that, and then obviously tell who you worked with and all of that. So that's what a case study is. Whereas a portfolio is just, imagine a photo album, right? A photo album. Now a photo album has pictures of different images. So all you just do is obviously you have pictures of some of the designs you worked on, maybe just one garment you designed, and then you just put by the side what design it was. And then usually your portfolio will have your contact information, basically what you do, like your scope. Maybe you do casual wear, you design Afrocentric where you design Owambe type of clothes, stuff like that, right? So your portfolio have your contact information as well. And then sometimes you could have your rates, like how much you charge. It's different from having a case study on a website. Usually your website has all that already. So your case study page is like a page focused on a particular project, showing the process from beginning to end. So your potential client is able to go through that same process that your client went through. So knowing that, okay, if I'm going to work with you, this is what I'll probably experience as well. So that's the difference between the two. Okay. So I hope that everyone has learned something today. We're already at less than 1 minute. I would send the notes to everybody and also share resources to that you basically can use to kind of bump up your skills in terms of sketching and all that after the class. Yes, I have everyone's emails already, so I'll just send that to everybody. So yeah, so that will be all from me today. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate it. And we look forward to having you in our next 3 classes.